I mean, for me, the entry into the hotel industry was when I joined a hotel school way back in 1993. And I think I have to admit that there was not a lot of strategic thinking at that point of time. People were pursuing traditional programs like engineering and medical. Having grown up in the mountains, I think my mind was set to do something different. And hotel education provided me that sort of a difference that I was seeking. It was very primitive. There was really no industry, so to speak. There were hotels, there were a few hotel companies, but what can be defined as an industry in terms of scale, size, maturity was just non-existent back then. So I think in that sense, my generation in the industry has gotten a ringside view of seeing the evolution of the industry from the beginning. When you become an entrepreneur, it's a fairly big step for an individual. And if I look back, there would have been several small incidents, both inspirations and challenges, that accumulated over a period of time for me to take this step of being an entrepreneur. But I always tell people that no matter how much you try and romanticize entrepreneurship in terms of trying to solve world's problem, it's a very personal ambition. You want to leave a mark, you want to repeat success that you had as a professional, and you clearly see an opportunity to do so. So for me, it all came together in 2010 when I felt that I had done a lot of things as a professional. I had accumulated a fair bit of experience, and for me, the best way to leverage that would be to really become an entrepreneur. In the initial days of any business, I believe investors look at the entrepreneur and not the business, because in all fairness, there is no business for you to showcase. What they see in an entrepreneur is honesty, commitment, experience, and clarity of thought. So we always say that there are headlines and there are trend lines. And a successful investor needs to stay away from the noise of the headlines and remain committed to what the trend line says. So we follow hard data. We're fairly objective about the business that we invest in. We want to balance risk and reward. Let's not forget our business is highly capital intensive. So a single mistake can make you lose a lot of money. And therefore our DNA, so to say, over the years has evolved to make sure that we are first thinking about the risk, and once we've ascertained the risk that we may be exposed to, then we're not afraid to make big bets. So when you're an investor in hotels, you're dealing with two sets of challenges. One is huge amounts of capital that you need and the risk that it carries. And two, on a daily basis, you need to look at operations. And when you put the two together, I believe a bit of experience will come in handy to make sure that you can keep your capital protected. And a lot of other sectors, you need ideas, you need intellectual property, you need high level of energy, especially in the tech and tech related spaces. But I think when you're talking about a capital intensive, operational intensive business, there will be few exceptions where without experience you can really have it the right way. So the brands over the last few years, and I hate to say this, have kind of diluted to become addresses. For me as a consumer, a brand is something that I recognize. There's a strong recall, and there is no easy alternative to that. Hotel companies over the years have created multiple brands, and you can see through whether it's Marriott or Hilton or even IHCL in India, most companies tend to have multiple brands, and I feel at times each brand takes a bit of a hit in terms of customer recall and what it stands for. In terms of brand differentiation, I think there is a whole philosophy of convergence to mean, which means if you leave data on its own, highs will converge towards low and low will converge towards high, and they will all meet at the mean level. It's quite interesting to see how global hotel companies are trying to adapt themselves to be more Indian, and how Indian companies want to be more international. Is there a differentiation? There's legacy. I think companies like Taj and Oberoi's and ITC have a remarkable legacy in minds of customers in India. and that legacy is their biggest advantage, is their biggest asset. And I think those companies are doing a fabulous job of preserving that legacy. Hotel industry is barometer of economy. So every time somebody asks me how good is good, how long will this party last, my answer is I don't know. But if you're betting on India, you can bet on hotel industry. And the day you're betting against the hotel industry, you started betting against the Indian economy. Decades of growth coming our way. Now, what do we need to make sure that we leverage that growth? I believe the first answer is fiscal prudence. Because as I said, every expensive mistake sets you back by years. And it's about a lot of investors putting money in hotels back in 2006, 7, 8, 9, 10. Did not go really well because of cycle, because of lack of discipline. And it set the industry back by several years because new breed of investors tried keeping away from the industry. So I think one thing we can do well for future is that make sure we have certain amount of financial discipline that will lead to more success stories, and success breeds success. So as we see more success, we'll see more entrepreneurs, more investors, more companies coming into India for this sector. SAMHI is just a little bit more than 14 years old, and in the last 14 years, we're quite proud of the fact that we would own amongst the top 5, we'll be amongst the top 5 hotel companies in terms of number of rooms. We would also be amongst the top, I would think 6 or 7, around that zip code in terms of revenue. And the second youngest company, interestingly, would be 28 years old. So in a very short span of time, we've been able to create a company of substance. It says a lot about our strategy. It says a lot about our approach to doing business. And one should not forget that we started with very little capital way back in 2011. And we largely survived on external sources of capital till very recently. Post going public, the company has obviously transformed. It has huge access to its own free cash. And therefore, we believe that the next 10 to 14 years will be multifold growth for SAMHI than what we've seen in the past. In terms of a strategy, I think it's sometimes okay to be boring. We believe that, and this is something I was taught by my largest investor, Sam Zell, who's a legendary investor, very well known globally. And he used to say that too much of a good thing is wonderful. So if you've been doing something and it's been working well, you don't have to question and change that for the sake of changing it. So we believe SAMHI will remain committed to a time-tested acquisition conversion. We will remain committed to investing in tier 1 markets. We remain committed to following the big data trends on office and airlines. And I think that will be the main fodder for our growth. Are we looking at new avenues and new opportunities and new trends? Absolutely. It's our fiduciary responsibility to make sure that we provide the company and its shareholders an optionality for growth in future. If I look back, it has to be COVID, and it's an assumption with full honest admission. I think me and my team clearly changed as individuals post-COVID because it's not something you ever factored in your life. You build a company, it's going really well, almost textbook case study. And I started company in 2011 till 2019-20. You have a home run. You're ready to launch a public offering 7-8 years from starting the company. And then something hits you. And for days you are in denial. Then in days you are in disbelief. And I think it leads to transforming your personality and perspective to life. I'm not sure because I can't see myself back then, but it has to be COVID. It has to be transformative. I think it made us more aware of what we built. It made us more aware of what we had to protect. It was no longer about success, which tends to be exuberant, which sometimes tends to be shallow. Survival tends to be far more enriching and deeper. So at that time, it was all about survival. And I believe it changed me and my core team forever. There are trends which excite us. We are quite keen to see how the high-end experiential travel shapes up in India. Could be a great space if it's scalable. We think at some point, not today, branded residences will create a mark. Let's not confuse. May not be hotel brands. In Gurgaon, DLF has made more valuable residential brands of their own than any hotel company can actually make, you know. Same in Bombay with Namanzana and brands like that. Would be a big trend, not just at the high end, what we call service department. It could also be what we call corporate housing, where you need corporates for their employees to stay for the long term. They are not the high end service department, but more mid market corporate housing. So I think that India is going to explode with opportunities. The success will depend on execution. And I've often questioned if I should do that, if that 15 minutes should be spent in something else. And time and again, the answer is no. This is what you grew up to be. This is a part of your own commitment to yourself. This is a part of showing that you don't have to depend on small things to the others. So I have followed that ritual ever since I was in school till this morning, that I pick up, iron my own clothes, wear them, no matter if I'm going to ring a bell at a stock exchange, no matter if I'm going to do a large transaction at GIC or like similar investor or buy a hotel or sell a hotel, that morning I would have ironed my own clothes. So that's a ritual that I've followed. In terms of hobby, I'm a mountain boy, so I love my drives to the mountain. When you drive up to the mountains, it comes with a long playlist of music. So those are two things integral to my life. I like cooking, and full disclosure, has nothing to do with me being in hotel school. They hardly teach you to cook well, or they used to back then, never taught you how to cook well. So cooking is something which I find to be a therapy. It is a place where I don't have to look at my phone. I tend to run a very disciplined life at work, and in cooking you can be very creative. So therefore I can't bake, because baking is about discipline and cooking is about creativity. So I think I approach both success and failure with an element of indifference. I think we give too much importance to these words. I think we give too much importance to events in life, festivals, birthdays, taking a company public, raising capital, buying a hotel. I just don't give much importance to any events in life. I think I celebrate life each day as it comes. Also, the fact that you don't celebrate success gives you the ability to not to be worried about failures. Inspiration is a reference point, and it keeps changing, I have to admit. When I was growing up, you watch a movie and you get inspired by that. When I was a young entrepreneur, I would look at Silicon Valley and get really inspired by their motto, high risk, high reward, don't be scared to fail. Peter Thiel saying, fail fast, fail often. Later in life, I thought, you've created wealth, you've created a business, protecting it is more important, and therefore your ability or appetite to take risk diminishes, and I think which is good. Today I would be more inspired by some traditional Indian businesses. I'm a big fan of Uday Kotak. I'm a big fan of business houses like TVS. I'm a big fan of institutions like Infosys, because they stand for a certain level of continuity and permanence. They stand for a high degree of maturity. They stand for a level of ethics which is unquestionable. And I think SAMHI in the next decade would benefit more from grey hair than a bit of a reckless enthusiasm,